On May 2nd, Conroe voters will decide 3 city council seats: place 3, place 4, and place 5. These races matter because the decisions coming out of City Hall have real consequences.
City council members have one job: represent the citizens who elected them.
That means listening when citizens take time out of their day to show up at City Hall and ask their elected officials to represent them. That means making decisions based on what's best for Conroe, not personal interests or pet projects. That means managing taxpayer dollars responsibly. But over the past few years, Conroe citizens have watched their city council approve hundreds of millions in debt, raise street closure fees that drove festivals out of downtown, and make decisions that small business owners say ignore their concerns and harm downtown culture. On March 12th, 2026, just 7 weeks before this election, the Conroe City Council voted to approve nearly $2 million in contract buyouts for 4 city administrators: Andre Hauser, Nancy McKesker, Norman Maguire, Gary Scott. 3 of them kept their jobs. Norman Maguire retired. That decision crystallized what many Conroe citizens had been saying for months. We need accountability at City Hall. Candidates running for these 3 seats were invited to participate in this documentary. The candidates you're about to meet accepted that invitation. The candidates you're about to meet have become known as the A-Team among Conroe's small business community and concerned citizens. Why the A-Team? Because they all share core commitments: accountability to taxpayers, not rubber stamp approvals for million-dollar buyouts, support for downtown culture and festivals, not fee structures that drive events out of town, fiscal responsibility, not pet projects that bury us deeper in debt, representation of citizens and small businesses, not personal interests. These are the candidates fighting for a different kind of leadership. Let's meet them.
Can you please state your name and what you're running for?
Sure, yeah. It's John Sellars, and I'm running for Conroe City Council Place 5. That's the seat currently held by Marsha Porter.
Why did you decide to run for a seat on the Conroe City Council?
Okay, good question. Why am I running? Well, I'm running because Conroe is growing fast. Our local businesses and residences, especially downtown businesses, they need a city government that's predictable, responsive, and easy to work with. As someone with the finance and development and building background, I want to make sure Conroe grows in a way that supports small businesses, attracts customers, and strengthens our local economy.
If elected, what would be the first thing you would want to change?
The first priority is restoring trust through what I would say is consistency and responsiveness. That means clear rules, timely decisions, and better communication between staff, council, residents, and the business community. Residents and business owners shouldn't have to guess what City Hall is going to do next. The process should be just predictable and professional at the very least, and that's what I hope to focus on.
What is your opinion of the current direction of the city?
I mean, Conroe is growing, which is positive. The city hasn't always kept pace operationally, meaning they knew long ago that people were coming and moving here in droves, yet the reaction to that growth, especially with infrastructure, seemed to have been deferred until right now. I mean, we're experiencing the cruxes of traffic and, potential water issues, definitely infrastructure issues here in downtown. But my focus is going to make City Hall more accessible to both businesses and residents. Got to have more efficiency, and we've got to have accountability, because I feel like some people that are in the very, very top of our city government, might be operating off of some of their own agendas. And we need to make sure that the citizens' agenda, the Conroe business owners' agenda, is the one that comes first, not because something is better for the people at City Hall.
What short and long-term ideas do you have for Conroe?
Short-term ideas, that would include things like responsiveness and communication with downtown businesses and residents as a whole. I mean, the permitting process, just to name a few issues, it seems that the way that the city conducts business with its own citizens and business owners is very much lacking in a customer service sort of experience type of way. And I mean, that's something that city government is a service industry. When you look right down to it, you have customers, and unfortunately, the city government kind of has a monopoly on operations. We don't have a choice who we pay our taxes to, and you have that choice at the ballot box. And so, that's kind of what I'd say is short term, improving that basic responsiveness, review permitting, event processes, restore trust is part of the long term goal. It's not something that can be done overnight. And so supporting responsible growth that increases customer traffic, say in the downtown area, is something I think is very important. Investing strategically in infrastructure, parking, public spaces that drive economic activity, and ensuring the city's financial decisions support long-term economic vitality. And some of the things we're talking about as far as what is good for downtown, I think we all have to realize that downtown Conroe has gone through a metamorphosis. We're not selling hardware in haberdasheries anymore. It's not the 1930s downtown. Conroe's downtown is transitioned into more of a nightlife entertainment district, and it needs to be treated as such. And so those are, part of the long-term goals that I have. It's very much opening the city back up to the residents and businesses that are its customers.
What is your personality type, and why do you think it'll be an asset moving forward?
I'm actually a very practical kind of guy when it comes to a personality type. Solution focused decision maker. My background in finance and accounting, so I focus on facts and long term inputs. Measurable results, that's something. Can you quantify the problem for me? Because I can come with a quantifiable solution. I work collaboratively well with other people. I try to listen, instead of always offer up my opinion, because I will be the first to admit I don't have all the answers. The answers are going to come from everybody out there, and we're going to pick and choose and collaborate and work together and try to steer this ship in the right direction once again. So that's what I'd say is that's a long way to answer that, but I'm a practical, solution focused guy. That's my personality type.
And why should people vote for you?
People should vote for me because I do bring kind of a business and financial perspective that I think is oftentimes missing on council and CIDC. It took some of the directors that I served with last year quite a bit of time to figure out, governmental accounting and where the liabilities were on the schedules. And I kind of come with that knowledge already in hand that I don't really have to have the financial spoon fed to me. I can pick up, things like budgeting on day one.
What do you know about the permitting process, and what is your opinion of it?
My opinion is that it's not much of a process. And of course, I'll admit I'm going off of anecdotally what I've heard from people that have been involved with the permitting process. But I'm talking everything from changing out a water heater to, a special event downtown. There's very little consistency, and they feel like, permitting sometimes is there's some selective enforcement, or that certain groups are targeted because one group doesn't like this group. And so it's very much a picking of winners and losers sort of scenario that I've heard. And so what I think is that we need absolute consistency. We probably need to bring in a process engineer, just because, like I said, anecdotally, you're hearing that the left hand doesn't know what the right is doing. And with the city our size, I mean, amateur hour is over. It's time for us to be a professional city.
Montgomery County is the third fastest growing county in the state, but downtown Conroe is not growing at all. What is your opinion of that, and what would you recommend doing about it?
I mean, that's a great question about downtown growth, and it's an interesting statistic that you point out. Look, downtown is one of Conroe's greatest assets. There's no denying that. But it does need intentional support in the way of marketing, in the way that, it's not the traditional downtown anymore. We're not selling, feed sacks and sporting goods or men's clothing. It's bars and nightclubs and great restaurants. There's a meadery, just a place where, they make and sell meat. How cool is that? It's so eclectic Downtown needs supporting industry all around it to support the type of downtown I think that we all are kind of envisioning. And, that means that we need to not just focus on the business aspects around town, but to develop the clientele for downtown. That means recruiting, big oil companies into Grand Central Park, or large manufacturers, or research development firms into the tech park. And so it all kind of plays into each other. But if you want a surviving downtown, we need to increase the number of professionals that work in and near the city of Conroe. And that's part of it, is going to be driving those type of professional sort of, I don't want to say Facebook or anybody that big, but you get the kind of clientele that typically utilizes downtown. We know what that looks like. Now let's go out and find, the businesses that support those type of folks. Seems simple.
What is your opinion on the recent street closure permit fee changes?
I think it's awful what's been done. Absolutely, just to kind of rip the rug out from under a lot of folks the way that they did. That's something that I'm wanting to, I guess, address as part of my larger candidacy, is, a bit of transparency, and maybe even try to slow down the way that the city does things, just because the public a lot of times does not have the opportunity to react. You see a change to an ordinance on an agenda, and then 5 days later, council is discussing and deliberating whether or not they're going to vote on and pass it. I've been involved with cities that, for example, require a second reading of an ordinance before it takes effect, which would at least give the public, some time, because there's not a lot of media coverage here in Conroe. For a town of 100,000, we're lacking. And so it takes a while for, the word to sort of matriculate down and people to understand that, oh, this big change is happening. I've got to call my council member, or, let the city know how I feel some way. A lot of times the big changes happen before the public even has a chance to react. And so that's something I think we need to do a much better job of, is just informing everybody. And if that means slowing things down so that the city can't do things as quickly as they think it should, then maybe that's one of the answers. The other thing that I'll add, I guess, while I'm just kind of free form, is, kind of the TOMA issue, is that in the city of Conroe, our home rule charter defines our quorum as being 4 members, or 2/3 of the total elected body, which is 6, including a non-voting mayor. Effectively, that means that it's a 3-person majority that can swing a vote on 99% of what the city does. However, the quorum is at 4, so by a very strict interpretation of the Texas Open Meetings Act, you essentially can have the power in the 3 votes meeting outside of open meetings, deliberating and directing city staff to execute. And I think that we've seen that that's already happened. I think it's self-evident. Whether or not, we want to continue down that road, I think will be up to the future of the council. And so I, for one, and I know 2 other candidates, Ken Blevins and Kristin Hoisington, who are planning on taking a similar sort of approach, that we don't believe that even though the 3 of us might be a voting majority, we don't want to conspire and talk to each other or try to reach consensus outside of an open meeting. It should happen in front of the public. And we're very, very stern on that. And I would even challenge our current council to not wait. They could go ahead and start doing that right now. And I think we'd all be better for it.
Thank you for your answers, and that's a wrap.
My name is Kristin Hoisington, and I'm running for Conroe City Council, Place 3. So I decided to run for Conroe City Council because for a while now I've used my online platform, the Acorn, to pull back the curtain on a lot of the things that were going on at City Hall. I wanted to encourage citizens to pay attention. A lot of times it was shining a light on the dreaded topic of government and bringing some humor to it, making it something that people felt more comfortable discussing and getting engaged with. But you can only do so much from the sidelines. So I decided I would get involved and try and make lasting change. Rather than talking about the problems, start actually pulling my sleeves up and working on the problems. The first change I believe that needs to be made is our city administration, plain and simple. We need an administrative structure that understands it is accountable to the people, not the other way around. I want to reset the culture at City Hall to one of transparency, accountability, and service from day one. The current direction of the city, it's hard to call it a direction at all. The city kind of feels like a self-serving machine at this point. It has forgotten its primary purpose, and that is to serve the community that it funds it. Right now, the city's compass is pointing toward internal interest and not the citizens' needs. So my short-term goals would be that we need to stabilize first and foremost. So that means pay parity for our first responders. It means an immediate audit of our broken permitting process. It means a hard look at a change, obviously, to our administrative staffing, but to overall staffing as well. We definitely have a lot of gaps, and we need to fill those. Now, long-term, I would say we need to move from reactive to a proactive approach in our government. We need a clear path for infrastructure, a full understanding of the Hyatt situation, with the focus on where we are and the strongest path forward. We need to document all of our policies for every single department. We need to create procedure. We need to stop putting out fires and pointing fingers on who started them. And we have to start focusing on strengthening the current foundation and rebuilding trust for a stable and hopefully stronger future. I would say my personality type is I'm an independent thinker. I'm a creative thinker. I don't just follow the crowd. I look at problems from every single angle, and I ask very hard questions. But I'm also a peacemaker at heart. I don't hold grudges, and I believe in moving forward without looking back if I can help it. Above all, though, I mean, honestly, I would define myself as I'm a mama. Like, I like being the person who takes care of everybody, and that's just my instinct. But I'm also I'm not afraid, to stand up and guard and fight if I have to, because that's what mamas do. People should vote for me because I'm them. I'm everybody. So I've been very public with my opinions. I've stumbled, I've shared, and I've fought alongside many citizens for years. I'm not part of the current broken system. I haven't been appointed by anybody, and in fact, everyone who is currently there does not want me to be running, and they do not approve of me at all. So that is why you should vote for me, because if you want change, if you want a citizen-led government, then I'm your candidate. So the permitting process across the board it's broken, it's inconsistent, it lacks any clear procedure. We have a habit of trying to reinvent the wheel at the city. So every time a project comes up, we have this new way of handling it, and it's not clear for anybody. So we need a streamlined, transparent, and documented system. And we need a way for people to feel like they're not just hitting a wall when they contact the city, whether it's to host an event, build, just grow here in Conroe. We need that to be something that is reachable for everybody. Permitting process as a whole is broken, and it's broken because we don't have policy, we don't have procedure, and we don't have a set way that we're following for every single request. We're also not communicating. From my understanding, the city has pretty much put up a wall, and they're not even communicating, why they're shutting down permits, whether it's, a building permit, a street closure permit. They're just taking the money and not giving any reasoning. That has to come to an end. That's not fair business, whether it's being handled by a city or another business. It's not fair. So we need to create policy, we need to create procedure, and we need to follow it every single time. Downtown is our historic heart, and it is being neglected. We need to take advantage of our various programs, like our partnerships with Main Street, and we need an experienced convention and visitors bureau. that uses the hot tax funds for community growth and not pet projects. We need better parking here in downtown. We need better signage, and we need better relationships with our business owners. We need to treat downtown Conroe like the historic seat it is, and we need to celebrate it, build it up, and actually market it. We keep hearing that our city's broke, but it's hard to buy that when we've actively let our potential revenue streams dry up. So you can't grow a city by ignoring its heart. The street closure permit fee, it goes beyond the fee change. Personally, I don't think that the fee change is fair, but there was a lot behind that ordinance that was way more than just a price tag. There was a lot that was put into that ordinance that I felt was unfairly restrictive, such as a 6-month lead time with requesting the permit, only being able to request 4 permits a year, the fee being non-refundable if they chose not to actually, follow through. I mean, planning something out 6 months in advance, and then, we live in Texas. A hurricane could come through, it could get shut down. So do you not get your money back? There's nothing that actually addresses those issues. So there was a lot of lacking, and then there was a lot of stuff that just did not need to be in there to begin with.
Ken Blevins, Conroe City Council, Place 4. I decided to run for Conroe City Council because I see the turmoil and the division that the current council has created. Conroe needs steady leadership rooted in faith, family values, and strong moral compass. My family and I live here. This is our home. I'm running because I want my son and every family here to grow up in a city that prioritizes public safety, opportunity, and integrity. If elected, I believe citizen engagement at City Hall is a priority. Their voices are being silenced and has created a gap that we need to close. I intend to return the citizens' voice to City Hall. My path forward is very simple. Listen first, lead with common sense, and always put the Conroe citizens first. I believe our current direction is misguided. With hard work and the right people in place, I feel we can pivot and turn the city around. I believe our city deserves leadership that puts citizens first. Conroe is growing fast, and growth without accountability hurts small business, taxpayers, and families. My ideas are simple. I'm running to restore transparency, strengthen local businesses, support responsible development, and make sure decisions are made with long-term community impact in mind, not short-term policies. My personality is I'm an introvert-leaning, but people-capable, highly practical and logic-driven decision maker. I am structured, I am direct but controlled in conflict. I value being understood over winning. I step up when others hesitate. I have a very high internal standard, value backbone, loyalty, and integrity. I stay logical when emotions arise. I can compartmentalize. Not one to be manipulated. I'm comfortable being unpopular if the right decision was made. I feel people should vote for me because my values, my character, and my integrity. I have a stainless steel spine, and I will always stand up for what is right. I have no business dealings in our city, or county for that matter. I am and will remain 100% conflict-free. The permitting process has become very difficult for many business owners, more specifically the small business owners and the downtown permitting process. I understand the cost of the permit was originally $35 and initially raised to $1,300, and then back down to $500. It was reported in the community impact page on February 6th that the city has an internal cost of $400 before factoring specific needs. I would like to understand more the breakdown of this internal cost and work towards a common ground with events being hosted. I do not think every event should be allowed, but if an event has a positive economic impact on our community, including the small business downtown, then it's definitely something we need to look at. We need to help small businesses downtown as they are the backbone of our community.
3 council seats. All 3 matter. To bring real accountability to Conroe, each of these seats must be won. It takes all 3 working together to create the oversight and fiscal responsibility this city needs. Early voting runs through April 28th. Election day is May 2nd. Vote Kristin Hoisington for Place 3. Vote Ken Blevins for place 4. Vote John Sellars for place 5. The choice is yours. The future of Conroe depends on it. For voting locations and more information, visit savedowntownconroe.org.